Good day, podcast community. PeteKane here, Podcast Pete, and author. And we have a special guest, a Rotarian, a leader in our community. And we wanted to share, Stephen, his story, his journey, and a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes when you're serving in the community. So, Stephen, tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and who you serve, and we'll get into our podcast.
Well, hello. My name's Stephen Whittier, and as you mentioned, I'm a fellow Rotarian. For a living, I'm a freelance IT consultant, and who I serve, I guess, primarily our Creator in heaven. Secondarily, my family, my wife Christy, and my stepdaughter Veronica.
Mm-hmm.
And thirdly, I love serving in my community with Rotary, and even outside of our community with Rotary. So that's pretty much it for that. Yeah.
Awesome. I remember when you first joined Rotary back a few years ago, and when you stepped into Rotary and the community, what were you thinking when you reached out? What was going through your mind?
So you're asking what was going through my mind when I first reached out to Rotary?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest, my expectations were incredibly low. When I first reached out to Rotary, I was pretty desperate to get involved with community service again. I had done some things in the past, not nearly on the scale of which I'm involved with now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little hungry to get connected with people in the community because I had lived here for a couple of years. And, for reasons I had been pretty busy with other things, but I was also working from home and kind of isolated. But when I first reached out to Rotary, I didn't know anyone, or at least I didn't think I knew anyone in the club. Turns out that I did know you and a couple of other people, just from having been out and about a little bit. But,
Mm-hmm.
to go back to my point, my expectations were very low. I applied on Rotary International's website, not on North Cobb's website. And I expected my application to just kind of land in a dead letter office, I guess. I still had this kind of notion in my mind that it was, a by invitation only kind of exclusive situation. But it turned out to be quite frankly the opposite. Dave reached out to me within hours of when I filled out the application. He was really great, really accommodating, really friendly. Gave me a few options about which clubs I could visit. And I came to North Cobb first, and I'm glad that I did. And those low expectations, I guess what I'm getting at here is that what I experienced when I first came into the club was above and beyond anything that I could have ever imagined.
Mm-hmm. I often ask people on the podcast about Rotary, and 9 times out of 10, I get kind of a blank stare or what is Rotary? What is Rotary to you? What has it meant to you to be involved in the community, and what does it mean to you?
Well, to me, I mean, first and foremost, it's all about service, right? It is I think, oldest and largest service organization in the world. And just saying that, I feel like it's an honor to be involved in this club. It's like being, I don't know, like being in the Scouts or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every time I put on one of these pins or I put on my name badge at the club, it's like a badge of honor.
Mm-hmm.
And Yeah. So first and foremost, it is all about um, pouring into the community, pouring into uh, the international community throughout the world, right?
Mhm.
Um, and then secondarily, besides service, there's an organic uh, networking or fellowship. I kind of mingle those, right? Because I'm not really personally, I'm not in this club because I'm trying to promote business or I will do gladly do business. There are some wonderful people to do business with in the club, and I have. Um, but it's for me more about the organic relationships, the friendships that you foster through working together on various service projects. It's just
Mm.
absolutely amazing how all that has come together. And the other thing that I always tell people from my own personal experience with it is that it, we don't all have unlimited time, but you do get out of it what you put into it. Absolutely.
Mhm. I'm a firm believer in not being a spectator, but a participant. So
Hmm.
whenever I do things in various forms, I like to get involved because you get a higher level of fulfillment, higher level of whatever you're doing. You jumped in and you participated in leadership, and you know you started to get involved and you were doing things. Tell our viewers what that has meant to you to have that in your life at this time.
I mean, it's meant the world to me. It is sometimes a little bit hard to process what has happened, and I guess with some of it, how quickly it has happened. But and again, like I mentioned earlier about it being an honor to be in this club, it's also an honor, or I'm also very thankful for the the not only the trust that folks have put in me, but just the guidance and support that they've provided. I mean, I was in the club for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months before Ada just, handed over a project to me and said, can you lead this project? And I was like, absolutely. I can't believe that you would allow me to do this. This is absolutely wonderful.
Hmm.
So that's just one of many examples of things that happen, but it really is um, uh, all about the opportunities and the guidance and the support that the entire team at this club has provided.
What do you think? You mentioned friendships when we were talking earlier. I don't know who said it, but it was somebody in the um, I don't know, personal development field. They said the quality of your life is the quality of your relationships.
Hmm.
So I want you, because I've had people say to me, like, is Rotary a cult? And I kind of laugh because the outside looking in, you don't know what it is. But I
Hmm.
want you to speak about the friendships that you've been able to have in Rotary and share that with our viewers.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can even start with you, Pete. I mean, you are very very open and very fun to talk to. Very smart. Uh,
Smart? Oh,
you're
good. Okay, I'll
you're
take
you're
it.
you're, you're part of the quote unquote brain trust as far as like all the techie kind of things are concerned. Um, but there's what I really like also is that there are people from all kinds of different backgrounds. Any way that you slice it, whether you're talking about their profession or their personal background or their country of origin, or, there's just, it's such a dynamic group. And I feel like the North Cobb Club in particular is even more dynamic than some of the other groups. And so it just adds a real richness to the whole experience. When you walk into the room, especially on Thursday, or when you walk into a service project, you you get to just talk to amazing people about all kinds of different things. And there's quality to the conversations too. It's there's a genuineness to it. There's a positivity to it, absolutely. And that's really what I cherish the most about the friendships that I'm making. I will be blunt with you. I come from a little bit of a wild background. I had some trouble with some addiction. I was not surrounded by the best people not too far back in my life. I mean, I'm several years out from that, but it makes me value these kinds of relationships even more. Like,
Mm.
uh, there's just really something to be said for, all those things that I just said about the positivity and the genuineness of it all, that makes me want to just cling on to it even more.
Mm. We were roommates up at the conference up at Lake Lanier. And when you go outside of your local club, you're able to meet other members from other clubs across the area. Talk to our viewers about going to a conference and what that meant to really understand another level of Rotary.
Yeah, so a couple of things kind of stand out for me. Uh, One that was invaluable, and I think is going to continue to pay off for months, if not years into the future, was, connecting with other clubs in this, what we're calling the Cobb Council, um, and not only getting to meet the leaders from those other clubs, um, and find out a little bit more about their background and their, what they're working on within their own clubs, but actually coming to the table and trying to work together on larger initiatives together. So there's that, but there's also, there were numerous sidebar conversations that I had with other folks while I was there too. Even, our former district governor Gordon, um, about some of the things that he's passionate about, and there's something tangential here to what you were just talking about a little bit earlier before we started on here, Pete. But I was talking to him about his interest and his passion for working on trying to tackle some of the problems with the opioid, the
Mm-hmm.
not pandemic, but epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
The and the needle's moving on that too, and that's something that both of you kind of made me aware of. I was a little bit ignorant to that. There's there's one thing to be said about you know trying to treat people who are addicted to a substance, right? Through various means. Um, but there's another one when the chemistry of the substances are constantly changing, right? And that was something that both of you had kind of made me aware of, is that, like, it's somewhat of a moving target, right? Like, the drugs get stronger, so the antidotes have to change. And so you're as you are working towards trying to close the gap on this, you're constantly having to kind of adjust and retool as you're going through it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So that was another thing that I got that I found highly valuable out of it. And the other was just casual conversations about people's different experiences with the Rotary. Like I talked to a couple, since I'm uh, rapidly in the secession line for the club president of our own club. I talked to some of the other past presidents and folks that are in that same line about what they're doing, and what works and what doesn't work, and got a lot of good information out of that as well. Just a lot of note taking on my part, and a lot to unpack when I got home.
Yeah, that's so good. We went together to Rotary Leadership Institute, which this was my second one.
Hmm.
To our viewers, I've shared with my daughter and anybody that I've had conversations with that I'm always impressed when an organization trains leaders, because leadership is the most important thing to have out there. And when you have an organization that's intentionally developing leaders, it's going to be good for the community. It's going to be good for business. It's going to be good for the world. So tell our viewers, like, what is that Leadership Institute meant to you, and what is that, how has that helped you in your journey?
Well, it's like they it's like standardization, right? They break down um you know and explain all the things, different components, like what our areas of focus are, how fundraising works on different levels, what the different groups and organizations and divisions within Rotary are and what they do. And um but it's also the other thing about this is that that I really like about it is that rather than it being self-guided or one-on-one kind of training, um, it's a little more collaborative, and you have people from all over the district that are coming in, um, and they're learning in lockstep, but they're also having conversations in those sessions amongst themselves, bouncing ideas off of each other. So there's, like I said, there's a collaborative component to it as well. So there's
Mhm.
learning, but there's also some, I guess, planning of ideas and a little bit of creativity as well, right? Um,
Yes.
so that uh, I look forward to attending some more of those sessions. I've had a little bit of trouble getting some of those knocked out at the beginning of this year, but that was an outstanding trip, and I want to I want to catch up with you, Pete, and get into that second one for sure.
Mm. Yeah, I always love when I hear businesses and companies have a succession plan, especially when you have family businesses. I've admired Chick-fil-A, how they intentionally groom, whether it's family members, whether it's people. And in Rotary, I have seen something very similar, because Sheila just took over this past year.
Mhm.
You have Christina next year, and then yourself the following year as president. What has it meant to have that to prepare you for leadership? And how can you share with our viewers, like, what that does for people in general to be able to have that support around you, so you're not like in it by yourself, you're in it with a group of people who are pouring into you?
So that's a great question. And just to back up a little bit, I'm actually coming in after Sheila, and then Christina's coming in
Oh,
after
okay.
me, which
Okay.
I
Forgot about
wanted
it.
to mention because um I'm on a really, really fast, kind of tight timeline here, but I want to highlight the fact that everyone at the club level, and at the district level, when we're talking about uh, going all the way back, before the district conference this year, to um, the Learning Assembly in Columbus, was where I had my first sit down with Buck, who is also going through his own journey, his own, you know, secession plan. You know, he'll be the district governor after Cynthia, right? But
Mm-hmm.
he's got people that are helping him. But my point to all this is that, you know, I've got support at multiple levels. I've got support at the district level, you know, coming from Buck and his group. I've got my peers, who are other president elects for other clubs, and you know, and we're in groups and we have meetings. We have actually got a series of Zoom meetings that are going to spin up. I think starting in August. I got to look at my calendar to see what the exact date is, for that. Um, and then I've got, you know, current and past presidents in the club itself, that are all there and that are all extremely helpful and knowledgeable. So what does that do for me? I think first and foremost, especially given, like I mentioned, the tight timeline, is that it reduces my anxiety so
Mm-hmm.
that I can just focus on what I need to do and not fret about whether I'm going to be able to do it or not. That's the biggest thing. It's absolutely wonderful. Like, I know that the job is, difficult, but I am not like coming at it, you know, from an angle of, like I said, anxiety or fear, but rather, just looking at it as an amazing opportunity and wanting, to do my best. And I think I'm being, you know, set up for success because of all this wonderful support.
Mm-hmm. You know, recently, Veronica, your stepdaughter, spoke at our club, and she was part of a leadership for our high school students.
Mm-hmm.
Tell our viewers, I mean, one, she made an absolutely beautiful presentation. It was funny. She was confident. She just communicated very well. I don't know if that was a result or if you've seen some growth there by being involved in that, but I always admire when younger kids, and the Usher boys have done it, they come to our club and they just present like adults. I mean, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I would have been done at 15, 16 to talk to a bunch of adults, but it's beautiful to see. So, talk to us about that time that Veronica spent with some other students and what that program is accomplishing with high school students.
Oh, you froze up on me there a little bit.
Okay.
Um,
Did you
I
hear
think
me?
yeah, I think I missed the very end of that, but I think I got what, the gist. So, yeah, so I'll back up a little bit. Like, you know, Nancy gave us the opportunity, presented the opportunity to us, to send Veronica to this camp. Um, and I will be honest, at first I was kind of thinking that it wouldn't go over so well with her. Uh, she's very independent, very strong-willed person. But it turned out to be the exact opposite, and, um, she was very excited to go. It was her first time getting to go, really, A, to anything like this ever, but B, on her own, and in you know, being around basically a bunch of people she had never met before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I did see a lot of very quick growth, and I think she had, uh, some pretty solid commentary on those experiences, when she did her presentation. But yeah, it it kind of blew me away, Pete, to be perfectly honest. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she came back and just laid it all out for Christy and I, about, what she learned and what she did and the people she met. And um, it was just absolutely phenomenal. And I really look forward to seeing what more she can do with it, as she heads into 10th grade at North Cobb High School this year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I was also impressed, like you were as well, with her ability to present it. And I'm guessing that she learned pretty fast on her feet while she was there. I mean, she's performed in front of people before. She's done music, piano. She's done band. She's done a little bit of acting. But this was just a total game changer. Like you said, like speaking to an entire room full of adults. She was pretty nervous, but I did help her get her thoughts organized before she did it.
Mm-hmm.
I helped her, just kind of break it down, pick out your favorite activity from each day, because there were tons and tons of activities they did every day.
Mm-hmm.
Get a couple of photos from each, gather your thoughts, write a few sentences about each one, and kind of make yourself a cue sheet. And then I'll help you with, put the bullet points in the slide, as well as kind of your guide. And we went through it a couple times. But the crazy thing is that she had that cue sheet with her that morning, and she forgot to take it out of her pocket. So she just went straight off of her head for that
Wow.
whole thing and just like knocked it out.
That,
So yeah, I think that camp did a real number on her in a good way, for sure.
yeah, it is beautiful because they always say you're the sum of the five people you hang around the most. And we have the advantage of hanging around some pretty amazing people on Thursday morning. And
Hmm.
you want that for kids because their peers are so much part of their life. So when you get in an environment like a camp like that, there are people that tend to be a little bit more mature sometimes than you find in just normal kids because
Hmm.
they've been selected to go and their parents are serving, so it is a great environment. What would you say when it comes to Rotaract and the Rotary focus on colleges and high school? What would you share with our viewers that might be in high school, might be in college, and not know anything about it, and what benefits they can glean from being a part of it?
Well, I think they can get the same benefits that I got even at age, 50 or
Mhm.
51 when I came into Rotary. Um, they can just get it early, maybe a little bit earlier in life. I was kind of a late bloomer with this, but I I think that you gain so much, uh, pouring into service. What you pour into it, you get back out of it, but you also build some really solid friendships, um,
Mhm.
working on these things together. Building the trust, building the bonds, um, being able to step back and look at all the amazing things that you did or that you built, or maybe a little bit of both. Um, but yeah, that's the main gist of it. I think is that, um, I would encourage people that are in high school or college, if they have the time, to look into it, to get those very same things that we get out of it.
Mm, yes. There was, and I forgot to put this one overlay, so I'm going to try and get it up here because it was service above self. And that's actually my next question. Here we
Hmm.
go. We got it on there. So I have a mentor of mine, and he said numerous times that your ability to serve you're going to be around some wonderful people. So get involved in the community and serve. What is service above self, which is part of Rotary's, tagline or something they say? What does it mean to you?
Um, well, I really like the above self part of the tagline, and it really resonates with me. And the reason why I say this, and I'll go back to something that I was saying or alluding to a little bit earlier, and I really should do what I should get on the schedule for the classification talks so I can dive into this a little bit more with the club. But I mean, again, I'll be blunt. I had a little bit of a wild background. I was a bachelor for a long time. And so I lived a long period of my life by myself for myself. Does that make sense? And
Yes.
um, so that's why now this service above self, the above self part of it is just like that really that really drives it home for me. Um, I've learned so much about uh, not not living in a shell and not living for myself, but like putting myself out there for others. Um, is just like it's in a way it's kind of hard for me to even put into words how amazing it really is when you make impact uh, in other people's lives by you know putting yourself aside and putting others first.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, that's really good. Now, tell me, like, when you are out in the community and somebody says to you, and you have like a Rotary shirt on, what is Rotary? What do you usually share with them?
Well, most of the time, if I'll be a little bit funny here for a second, but you know, obviously you have a small percentage of the population that think it's like some kind of secret society or something. So you gotta. There are some people that you have to walk down off that cliff, right? Like, no, 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 no. Or we are, we're completely open, maybe an open secret, but we're not. There's nothing anyone can come by and see what we're doing, right? There's no,
Yes.
no secret handshakes or anything like that. But for the outside of that, for the most part, like I'll tell people pretty much the same thing. And I think I said it at the beginning of this podcast. Like we're the oldest and largest service organization in the world. Boom, that's it.
Mhm.
And um, and we work on projects small and large. We work on projects within our community. We work on projects with outside of our community, maybe in our region, in our state, in our country.
Mhm.
Maybe even we do things internationally. um, and then if people are interested in that, I'll dive in a little bit more and give them some examples of some of the things that our club has done, like in the last 6 months or a year,
Mhm.
because I've been involved in most of it. I'm in the service chair right now. um, I know what's been on our calendar. I know what's coming up on our calendar. And if they're even more interested, uh, I'll even shoot them over, our agenda for the next month or so, if
Mhm.
they have interest in joining us on our project or joining us at a meeting. But to your point, the emphasis in that messaging is always about the service component. Um, there's certainly other things that we get out of it. Like we love to socialize, we love to have fun. um, and there's also, like we mentioned earlier, there's opportunities to you know do business with other people in the club too. You got people from all kinds of different professions, so your Rolodex gets filled with all kinds of cool and interesting people.
Mhm.
But the it all stems from that service component.
Mm. I want to be respectful of your time, so I have a couple more questions, and then we'll wind it down. What are you most excited about in the future with your involvement with Rotary?
So this year, what I'm hoping to do, and this is kind of, I guess, it will eventually segue into when I take the gavel, but I'm kind of keeping things in my near sight for the moment. But what I'm really looking to accomplish this year is is to expand our diversify our service offering a little bit. And I'm not trying to replace what we're already doing, because we do a bunch of really great things and we do them very well.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to see if, we can get just a little bit more. We're a large club. We got a lot of people. We got a lot of people that are passionate about doing things, but we may not necessarily know what they're passionate about doing. And so I'm currently in the process of trying to unwind some of that. And you'll actually see over the next couple of weeks, there'll be just a one question survey, and one question non-anonymous survey of the club to kind of do a barometer check on what people are passionate about as far as service is concerned. Because I don't think we completely know. And that, we, from that, we'll find out what people are interested in. We'll also find out about some things we may not know about, other nonprofits or other opportunities in the community that we didn't even know were there, that
Mm-hmm.
maybe people just didn't think to bring up or didn't have time to bring up. And those things will surface. And so my point in all this is that I do want to add on and diversify our service offerings a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that I'm hoping that will come out of that are a couple of things. One is that it will increase our current member engagement, and which will increase our member satisfaction, which get them even more excited, if that's even possible, about how wonderful this club is.
Mm-hmm.
And it will also, I would imagine, expand our network a little bit. If we start wandering out into other areas of service, we'll be making contact with other people, whether they're, in the nonprofits or organizations that we're serving with, or if they're from other volunteer organizations that come in. We had a couple that came in from other places at Forever Fed yesterday, for instance. And so there's other points of contact that we'll make, which, as because you're on the membership committee, is an opportunity to kind of invite them into the tent. Come on down to Copeland's on Thursday morning and see what all the buzz is about, and maybe it's for you.
Yeah.
So that's so the to sum up, the two things that I'm really that I'm really focused on, or that I'm really the most excited about, I guess over the next 6 months to a year, is trying to grow our service offerings, increase member engagement, and increase membership.
Mm.
So that's pretty much it.
That's good. But as service chair, a lot of times we see that our Rotarians don't want to take credit for things. They don't need their name on a building.
Mhm.
But we also like to let people know the impact that Rotary's making in the community. Would you
Yeah.
share some of the service projects we're currently working on at North Cobb?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, to your point, that is a fine line. And I always try to tell folks, even now that I'm in the service chair and on the public image committee, that, like, yes, I realize that people don't want to, take claim or pat themselves on the back for doing things, but from a public image perspective and from a membership perspective, I think it's important to have those things out there just on the club level, not on an individual level. Like, look what the club did, and just to get other people interested. People ask about it, right?
Hmm?
So some of the things that we're currently working on right now, we have some things that are on regular cadence. So we've got, my project is the KSU pantry restock that happens at the beginning of each month. We serve at the extension, so we do even months at the men's extension and odd months. Do I have that right? No, we do odd months at the men's extension and even months at the women's extension, right?
Okay.
And then we have some other things that just kind of get slotted in. Like we've got, we just put in another peace pole at the art house. So, Ada has had this ever since her presidential term, this multi-year peace initiative, spreading the message of peace. And for those that were actually at our peace building meeting after the peace pole installation this last week, Ada highlighted that, originally Rotary had 7 areas of focus, but there's an 8th area now, which is peace building.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's, pouring into that. There's, like I said, there's other things that get slotted in. We've got, we're doing a garden cleanup, a couple of cleanups. There's a cleanup at Pine Mountain Middle School for their garden. We're doing some work over at the softball fields at North Cobb High School. We also do, we've also got some stuff that we're going to be hopefully working on soon from us ministries. Yeah, that's pretty much. I'm trying to think if there's anything else coming up on the calendar in the near term. I had talked to you actually a little bit about an opportunity that you had. Do you want to just describe that a little bit? Because I think we're getting ready to slot that into the calendar as well.
Yeah. So I don't think there's a person out there that hasn't been affected by a friend or a family member when it comes to drugs and opioids. And so Rotary got a grant nationally, and now we're taking it down to the local Rotary clubs to train EMTs, teachers, and people that touch our students how to administer the necessary aid to save people's lives and educate them on. They keep upping the strength of drugs, and so what you worked last year is not working this year, and there's always data behind things that are making an impact. They have plenty of data to support their progress in this area. So it's Project Smart, and if there's a Rotary Club out there that's interested in getting involved in their local area and helping with this grant, the money is there, but the resources and the men and the women behind it is what's needed, because they need people to get out there to help educate people and help train people on what the opioid crisis has caused in America. I don't remember the exact number of deaths, but it's mind-blowing when you see how many people have lost their lives to drug overdose. So Rotary always does a great job of getting things done, whether it was the polio eradication or anything in the local communities. When they get behind something, they get results. So that's a project that's, near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, because they've lost family and friends as a result of drug addiction and the opioid crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, I think, it's what's really neat is to see how people are coming together as a community to pour back into community, because together we're better and together putting the resources back in the community makes our community stronger. What would you want our viewers? Is there anything I failed to ask you that you would want to share about what we're doing in our local Rotary, North Cobb, and across the state and the nation?
Oh gosh. We're probably gonna have to cut this part out. I'm not prepared for this question, Pete.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
What would be the one thing you would want our viewers to take home from our time on this podcast?
I think what I would like them to take home is to, if they have the time or the curiosity, to consider going online, learning a little bit more about us, or coming to visit our club if they're in the area, or a club in their area, connect with some people, learn a little bit more about it, see if there's anything that they can do. Because like you said earlier, together we're better. And the more people we have working towards common goals, the bigger things that we can accomplish.
That is so good. We'll put in the show notes links to be able to get in touch with the meeting that North Cobb does. Breakfast meeting is Thursday morning at Copeland's. And there's other ones in your area. I was down in Peachtree City. I was at Midtown, because people are in different areas of the city, and you want to be close to where you live because you're serving in that community. And you know, with Atlanta traffic, we own traffic in Atlanta. So unless you got a helicopter to fly around, you're going to be spending some time in traffic unless you're close to where you're serving. So Stephen,
and you've got different options too, depending on the different clubs meet at different times of the day too. So you've got, ours is a morning club, but you can also look into lunchtime or evening time clubs depending on how your schedule works out as well. So it's pretty flexible.
Awesome. The more healthy our business is, the healthier the impact that we can make and give back. So tell our viewers how could they get a hold of Stephen if they're interested in simplifying the technical nature of business?
So I think the easiest way to get in touch with me would be just to reach out to Stephen at greenleaftech.com, or you can visit my website at www.greenleaftech.com to learn a little bit more about what we're doing here.
Awesome. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for taking the time on this Monday to be with us, to share more about Rotary, and to let people know what's happening in the community.
All right. Thanks, Pete. I appreciate it.